My mom was only 16 when she had me. So you'd know what teenage pregnancy can do to a young girl. She had to drop out of school, her dreams were all shattered, and she was just going to begin another strange life that she did not plan for. From stories I was told, she was she was abandoned and chased from home. She went to her maternal grandmother's place. So that is where she stayed until she delivered me. So when she came back and tried to beg for her father to take her back to school, the father refused, that she has given birth and taking her to school will be a waste of time and money. So her dream was cut short like that. So what was next was her to get married. So my mom got married in Migori. Life was good. We stayed in Nyamira. My father had a good job. He's a surveyor, land surveyor. He had a good job and he could provide for us and we were all happy. Then suddenly something happened. Things changed. I don't know whether he lost his job or he resigned or I don't know what happened. He knows better. So life changed. You can imagine sasa life ya ushago. Umetoka town, umerudi ushago. At home, my mom has her sisters-in-law, mother-in-law, brothers-in-law. So one time, was I in, nowadays they call them PP1, I don't know, PP2. Somebody came home to visit from like a distant relative, my mother's distant relative. He came to visit. And then he was having tea and bread. So I sat there. So mgeni gave me that mkate. And then I started eating the mkate. And then my mom came in. She just smiled and I didn't see anything wrong with that. Kwanza sikuomba huo mgeni, he gave me and then pia singekata. So when mgeni left, I didn't know that kulikuwa na world was sijui ni 3 sijui ni 2 was waiting for me. I was beaten until now people came. You can imagine that kind of beating. I was being beaten until it drew attention. People came to see what was happening. Bruises all over my body. The next day I should be going to school. I can't even walk. Now she's the same person who should be nursing me. Okay, I thought it was a one-day thing and ingeisha, so I forgot about it. But then, anytime I made a simple mistake, I would be beaten the same way. I started wondering, what is going on? What did I do wrong? Why is my mother treating me like this? She's my mother. I don't know of any other mother that I have. She's the mother I know. What is going on? Why is she treating me like this? I used to wonder. And then I started becoming bitter with life, with everybody. So I was a silent person. Very bitter and silent. Very bitter that I couldn't have time to play with other people. You know, my mom was assuming that I am a silent child, I am antisocial and all that. Kumbe, she didn't know that something is wrong with me psychologically. I used to play alone. I'm just playing alone. I didn't have time to go and play with other kids. There was just something that had got into me that was restricting me from being with other people. Niliendelea tu kukua bitter until my brother came, sasa my follower. My brother came and nothing changed. The fact that my brother came, nothing changed. My mother was still the same. At the slightest mistake, ningepigwa. So unajua mimi nilienda sasa nikamea pembe. And then I was someone that nilikuwa rebellious but kimpango, chini ya maji. I won't show you that I'm rebelling, but I'm rebelling. I won't show you that I'm tough-headed, but in real life, in real sense, I'm tough-headed. So the beatings continued and I got used to the beatings. until sometimes I would be the one who will provoke the beatings. I would steal the most silly things. I will do the most silly mistakes just to be beaten, because at that time what I longed for was death. However young I was, but I already knew what death was, and that is what I longed for. So there was this time again about the beating. I was in class, I think class 4. I was beaten and beaten and beaten. I don't think if I walked for a week. Yani nilipigwa mpaka sasa I couldn't walk na nilifura. My body was swollen, my face. After 1 week, yani sasa exams were approaching. So I needed to go back to school. So I went back to school, that swollen. So you know she was guilty, I'm going back to school now. So kufika shule people walikuwa wanauliza, ulienda wapi, tumekutafuta nini, where have you been? I told them that I fell down. Because I can't tell them that my mother beat me like this. I can't. So my father was just there. I could just watch and say nothing. And anytime I made any mistake when he was there or when he was around, he wasn't any different. Or let me say I could find refuge in him. No. So one day my brother stole 20 shillings. I didn't know he stole the 20 shillings. And he came to me with these 20 shillings and told me that Mom had given him that money so that we can go and buy sweets. And I said, oh, this one is Mom's favorite. Maybe he's been given the money ukweli, so let's go buy sweets. Kumbe, my brother had stolen this money. Not even from our house, from someone else's house. So this woman came to complain that my brother took some money from her house. And then my brother kuulizwa, akasema, he gave me that money. To my mom, it's like, nimeanza sasa kutuma brother yangu kwenda kuchukua pesa kwa watu alete. That was not the case. My brother told me that he was given that money. And you know, I believed him. And I said, today, I'm not going to be beaten for someone else's mistake. So I told myself that I'm running away. So when my mother went to look for canes, mimi nikafyatua mbio, nikatoka. I left even my slippers. I was barefooted. I ran. And in my mind, I was telling myself that, dear self, we are going. We don't know where we are going to, but we are going. Since we can't have peace here, and this is where we call home, maybe we can find that peace somewhere else. I ran. Mpaka nikafika Sirare. Sirare is in the border of Kenya and Tanzania. Yeah. So the distance is long, a very long one. So I could walk, get tired, sit, and start again, Ivo too. Remember, there is something controlling me. You know, my mom knew that I would come back. Cause, first, she didn't know that there is a monster in me. I'm no longer my real self that she knows. There is a monster already in me, and that monster is really controlling me. She didn't know that. She knew that I would go and fear would, like I fear darkness. Like darkness would fall and I will run back home. But in my mind, that monster was telling me, just run and don't look back, just go. Go just find your peace. Okay, I was running, going somewhere that I don't know. And I wasn't my real self, because my real self couldn't even walk up to town. But this is a strange thing pushing me to continue going. So I continued walking until night fell and I found myself in Sirare. The first night was a disaster. It was a disaster. I'm in the cold. I fear darkness. I don't have anybody to talk to. I don't know anyone. I'm in a strange place. I simply sat down and crying, just praying that asubuhi ifike haraka, darkness iishe tu. And you know, hapo pia kuna street children. And you know, I don't also know how to interact with even children. So they would ask me questions and I was just crying because I didn't have anything to tell them. So ningewambia nini, nimekimbia from home and I am here and I want to start being a street girl. That is the life I have chosen for myself and I'm determined to live it. So I used to beg for food, beg for water. So that life, at first ikakuwa ngumu. So I was asking myself, are you sure? So you know, there are two, I don't know what to call them. Let me call them voices. So there were two voices, like we were having a discussion. The voices are having a discussion with me. One is telling me that this is what you decided to do. Don't turn your back. Don't do it. It's better to live here in the street where no one is disturbing your peace than living in a home where you are not having your peace. The other one was simply telling me to go back home. That life is not a good life. It's not a life that would take me anywhere. One seemed convincing. So I told myself that, let me walk back, let me walk like as if I'm going back home so that I can see which voice is having more weight than the other. When reaching Migori Central, I had some songs and some preachings, and then the songs caught my attention. I love music and I love singing. So the songs caught my attention, and then I said, let me branch to this church then, nione what is going on. And then I told myself and the other voice that it's now time to surrender. So you just sit here and wait for whoever who is interested in finding you. Just be here and let them come and find you. So lucky enough for them, my disappearance was everywhere. In churches, it was being announced in churches, anywhere where I could have gone to. So when someone who knew me saw me, that person called my mother without me knowing that she was making a call. And then my mom came. So she took me and we went to the police station to report the fact that I was found, and we went home. She just kept quiet about all this stuff. So life continued. But when life was continuing, something strange was happening. Like things were not the same way they were before when I ran away from home. No more beatings. There were no more beatings. But if I made a mistake, angeongea. Yani unajua yale maneno yanakuchoma. And they're not positive stuff. See anything positive. Like my mom would make me feel like I am the one responsible for every bad thing that is going on in her life. And then that didn't help matters still, even if the beatings were no longer there. But the words were too strong and too painful, and zilikuwa zinaniingia sana. And that was still hurting me. My mom would talk to me as if I'm the person who was responsible for all her mistakes or everything that was happening in her life. Like she regrets having me, like having me has caused her a lot of pain. And when all these things were happening, I felt like suicide and murder are the only things I could think about. When being quarreled to, I would think of committing murder, or maybe later I would think of killing myself. So I thought I would find peace in removing myself from all this trouble, or I would find peace in ending the life of this person who was tampering with my peace. You know, when someone is going through so many things, and a lot of things about that person also changes. I was a very bright person, but then all these things tampered with me academically. I couldn't concentrate in class because I was always thinking about this and that, the stuff that I'm going through. So Mimi, I knew that the only way to solve issues was through beatings. So if you had an issue with me, ama you unikanyage mguu, I would beat you. So I became that person. I knew that the only way I can solve something is through beating. Because I was also transferring aggression. Sasa, I would beat. And in school, sasa, teachers were asking themselves, this child is so quiet. Uwa chukuzi mtu. Na hii rage nyako nayo. I know they were wondering, though I didn't hear them talking about it. So I remember in class 4, actually it was in class 4, there is this girl. Alishinda amenichokoza ninanyamaza tu. Ananichokoza nimenyamaza tu. And then one day, I came from home prepared for her. And then I told myself, if she tries me today, I'm going to deal with her. I really beat that girl badly. Because I was beating her with every... Unajua nimetamani kupiga mtu. Kumbuka nimetamani hadi kuua mtu. Sasa huyo amejileta. Now I'm practicing everything on her. The teachers had to come to separate us. And I was suspended from school. So after my class 8, unajua mimi nilikuwa nimejiprepare psychologically that I will leave home. I didn't want anything that was bringing me back to that environment. I wanted to go to my mother's place. And then before I went to school, sasa, nilikuwa nimetoka, I went for some walk. So when I came back, I found my mom kneeling down. And then I was shocked. Why is my mom kneeling down? Then nikasonga. Kusonga, I realized that my mom was praying. And in her prayers, I had her pray for me. And that one was something very strange. And then I told myself, so my mom really cares so much that she can actually talk to God on my behalf or talk to God because of me. That changed a lot of things. The fact that I saw my mom kneel and pray and I had her mention my name in her prayers changed a lot. So in high school, I had issues with my physical appearance because my life was a mess. There was nothing to smile about. And I spent my life not smiling. So it affected my physical appearance. I never smiled. So I looked awful. Like mimi ni mtu ungeniona na ushtuke. Approaching me was a very difficult stuff. Kwanza my face tu peke yake kwanza ingekutoa mbio before even you come and uanze kuniongelesha. In Form 2, something happened. People had gone out for the outings that people go to in high school. And then when the lot that went out came back to school and there were letters, just not the high school life. There were letters, girls were receiving letters from their boyfriends from various boys' schools. And I was there. In fact, in our class, almost everybody received at least a letter. Even if not from your boyfriend, maybe from your cousin or your anything, or your brother. I was there, no letter. And then there was this lady who was sitting sasa mbele yangu. Mimi nilikuwa ninakaa nyuma yake. And this lady, it was not the first time she ever referred to me as ugly. She used to do that. And then nilikuwa tunanyamaza na mezea. Ati everybody has received at least a letter or a note from a man or a boy. But Olivia hajapata anything. Si niliwaambia huyu msichana ako na sura mbaya. And then I told myself that, okay, she's at it again. And this time I'm prepared for her. And then I used to carry knife to school. And I used to carry that knife to class. Because I used to cut onions, garlic, and ginger. I used to carry them to school for my chest issues. So mimi nikafungua locker. And I got my knife. This small, very sharp. It's a knife that most of people wanatumia for murder. A very sharp one. And then nikabeba hiki sana nikafanya hivi. Wallahi, I was going to stab that girl. I was going to do it. I was determined to do it. At least I was going to fulfill one of my fantasies. of at least killing somebody, if not killing myself. So when I was going to stab her, the lady was sitting behind me, akashika mkono. And then she took that knife, akaiweka ndani ya locker. And then with that rage, sasa, I couldn't do it. Nikaanza sasa kuskata vitu. I scattered because I didn't know what to do with my anger sasa. I didn't know what to do with it. So I used my anger to scatter while crying. I scattered things, cried. You know, people thought that maybe nakuwa cheesy. Like maybe I'm going mad. But I was too angry that I didn't know what to do with this anger. So I was trying to release this anger through hitting something or scattering something. I just had to ruin something. Ndio nione at least my anger haijaenda at a loss. I was going to kill that girl. I knew it because it was something I had planned for her. So later on, I sat down and then I saw my anger will lead me pabaya. And then now, if any time I had an issue that would trigger my anger, I would, let me say, cry or break something. At least breaking something would help. That thing that happened that day, ilianza kunifanya reflect. So it was real that I could do this. So it has been real all this time that I can actually eliminate somebody to find the peace I've always wanted. And then I asked myself, so what if I had killed her? You know, sasa saizo nimeshakuwa mkubwa, I can reason sasa. Your future, hii future yenye uko high school na najaribu kutengeneza ingeenda at a waste. Saizi ungeenda jela, charged with murder. Was it at 15 or at 14? Yes, I wanted to eliminate someone to find peace. But then killing that lady couldn't have given me the peace that I was looking for. Kwanza inge worsen the situation. A young girl in the police custody, charged with murder. You can imagine that. So I decided to change, to start. In fact, I started praying to God to help me deal with my anger issues. My mom came to school for visiting. And then she told me that I should start to learn to forgive people. I was someone who was never forgiving. You do something, na naziweka tu. The day that I will deal with you, hautaamini ni mimi. I would hold so many things. So I was holding for my mother. I was holding for my father. At least for my mother, it reduced because I saw her pray for me. So I was, though nilikuwa na hold kidogo bado. So you know, the pain didn't go yote. So I was holding for my father. I was holding for my mother. I was holding for anyone who ever called me ugly. I was holding for, let me say, the whole world. I was even holding for God. And then I started just thinking, nikasema maybe my mom is right. After all, I should start learning to forgive. Nikakumbuka pia vile I almost killed someone. I didn't tell her that. Nilinyamazia tu. I was on a journey to change. Journey to handle my anger issues better, journey to let go of my bitterness, journey to let go of my pain. But it still wasn't easy because sometimes I would get angry. You know, anger issues are not something that you wake up one day and you find that you are no longer a temperamental person. You can handle things the right way like a normal person. It was difficult, but then I would fight so that I don't get into fights or get into arguments that would lead to something bad. I was trying so much so that maybe if I'm angry, if I get something that maybe I can break, just to let it go. Not that I get into a physical fight or argument or anything. It was not easy because pia I remember even when I was trying this, I remember pia in Form 3, there was this lady that was looking for my trouble sana, and I was trying so hard. No, I'm in a journey to change, but then someone is pushing me to the wall. So I was just, nilikuwa najambia huyu dem anajaribu kunijaribu, yani she's trying me and I'm trying to change into a better person. And then I told my friend that this particular lady is trying me and I'm really trying to change. But then if she goes on, I will deal with her. So the next day was on a Monday morning. I went to the kitchen boiler and took some hot water. This lady that I was planning to pour hot water on, alikuwa nakuja. And then my friend told me, nipatie hizo maji nikubebe. And then I gave her. Kidogo kidogo nikarealize this lady ako karibu kufika. Nikamuuliza mbona ulininyang'anya maji? Eti wewe singekukunyang'anya hizi maji, nilijua ulikuwa unaenda kumchoma na maji moto. And I would have dealt with that lady na saizi angekuwa something else. So and then tena nikarudi nikasema, nikajiambia, you missed it again. You are almost burning someone. I used to pray to God, help me with my anger issues. Because ilikuja ikakuwa that I could get angry until I become sick. So I kept on praying to God, naomba tu Mungu, just this demon, just get it out of me. I'm tired of suffering. When I sat for my KCSE, I had my challenges pia. I got sick and I lost hope. The thought of killing myself came back again. So the suffering pia bado, tena the pain, the bitterness ilirudi. Mbona, what is happening? Like now, this is now what is going to determine my future. And I cannot concentrate. In fact, my concentration span in the exam room was 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, I can't write anything. I can't think of anything. Yani naenda blank. So I only had 30 minutes to do a paper that I'm supposed to be doing in 2 hours. I only had 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, siwezi ka class, siwezi ka exam room. Sikuwa na nguvu kabisa. Hata siwezi inua kichwa. Sikuwa naweza kuinua kichwa. At the back of my mind pia nilijua I was going to fail. Because 30 minutes uwezi fanya na pepo nafaa kufanya na 2.5 hours, tuseme hivyo. I left school and I knew that I was going to fail. So when nikangoja results zangu and then I passed. Though I didn't get points to go direct to the university, but I passed. So that is where nikakaa chini, nikasema, I've gone through a lot in my life. And now sasa unajua hapo sasa, nimeshakuwa sasa niseme adult. I've gone through a lot in my life as a child, as an adolescent. And now, and I know there are some other adolescents that are going through the same thing that I went through. And then I started that, like, I want to be the voice of these young people, to be the voice of these kids, to be the voice of these adolescents. I want to make parents know that there are some things they do to children that they don't imagine will ruin their lives, but these same things interfere with their psychological well-being. Like, remember, I was only 10 when I was already suicidal and I was already thinking about murdering somebody. I started having talks with adolescents, the ones that rebel. They would have a talk. I would try to probe and know, where is this problem? Where did this problem start? And most of the time unapata the problem ilianza na mzazi kufanya 1, 2, 3. Not all problems inaanza na wazazi, zingine ilianza tena some maybe neighbor, maybe house help, maybe what. Like, you know, sasa mimi vile niligrow up nilirealize my mom didn't hate me. But things had happened to her. You know, my mom, when all these things happened to her, yeye pia bado alikuwa ni mtoto. Yes, my mom was a child when all these things were happening. So if the stuff that she was doing to me when I was a child turned me to be a monster. So the same thing that happened to her when she was a child turned her to be what she was. So to some extent, I stopped blaming my mom. In fact, I don't blame my mom totally. Yeye pia, I know she was not realizing that she was transferring aggression to a wrong person. I know she didn't know that. And I also know there are parents who do that, but they don't realize that they're transferring aggression to a wrong person and what they're doing is wrong. Yes, maybe I gave birth to this child when I was young. My dreams zimeenda because of this child. Okay, this child is innocent. Kwanza yeye hata ajui eti your dreams were cut short because of him or her. He or she doesn't know. So growing up, at least when I could reason more maturely, I realized that my mom was in a compromised situation where she thought that the fact that she had me is the reason why her goals were never met, her life changed. So she was transferring aggression on me. So she was trying to release her pain on me. And on her trying to release that pain on me was instilling another pain and like trying to water another monster in me. And by that, you turn this child into something else. And maybe sometimes this child of yours is not me. Maybe this child won't realize mistakes. Maybe this child won't have time to have a conversation with him or herself like I did. And these are the same children who live in the street because they ran and went and they made the streets their permanent home. These are the same children who commit murder because I know I was in their shoe. I wanted to eliminate. So these children that rape, these children that run from home and go to the street, these children that commit murder, these children that are violent, and these stories siku hizi ziko mingi. I know these stories were happening, but the fact that siku hizi social media is too much and people can access so many things. Ndio maana we see these things, but these things have been happening, but people have not been seeing them. I know there are adolescents out there that are going through the same situations. Maybe they're dealing with rape, maybe they're dealing with child abuse, maybe they're dealing with issues from dysfunctional family, maybe they're dealing with issues from broken homes. They deal with a lot. But then, I would like just to let them know that war or murder or drugs, those are not the answers to what they seek. Or they are not the answers to the peace they are looking for. If it is drugs they are trying to find this peace from, they will never find it from the drugs. They would go deeper into addictions and it will interfere with them and their future will just like vanish in their own hands. And those that are suicidal, suicide is not the best. Okay, yes, you commit suicide. Who loses? It's you, because it's you. Yani, ni wewe umejiua. You have cut your life short. Your dream career, your dream car, your dream house, your dream family. You're living all that simply because you want to find peace the wrong way. To adolescents who think that finding peace through murder or through eliminating someone is the correct thing, it is not. You cannot find peace after killing someone. Our past, the awful past, should not define who we are in the present. We should be a better version of ourselves in the present. Things can change to the better. Things can change to the better, even if right now I'm still fighting with my anger issues, but then, si kama kitambo. At least siku hizi, I can stay for a long time kama sijakuwa na that bad temper. Unlike kitambo that I could get angry more often. So people were fighting this stuff, whether you are a parent, whether you are a child, whether you are an adolescent. Because I know adolescents also access YouTube and they watch. If you're going through this thing, think of the future. I know sometimes unakuwa in a situation where you can't even think of the future. Think of the future. If I do this, what will my future be like? Everyone have their flaws. We are not perfect humans. We would make mistake once or twice, but that one is not the end of it all. I realized that laughing, smiling, talking to people, it helps. Talk to someone. Laugh. Just take a picture, smile. It helps. Smile inarembesha uso.